It's a big deal that 17-year-old Cooper Flagg was invited to play for Team USA Select, but he then dominated NBA players. And I mean, we have seen young Wemby score on Rudy Gobert, or high school Chet Holmgren hit Steph with his own move, but this was different. Coop had all-world Drew Holiday guarding him, but bam, turnaround jumper. Speaking of bam, and one on the dunk. But by far the best moment, Cooper brings the ball up the floor at 6'9", guarded by Holiday, then nasty handle, so they switch, but step back three in AD's unibrow. I am sorry, kid just showed off multiple elite skills in one play. Oh, and Drew, AD, and Bam, all defense type players. But somehow, none of those plays are what people talked about after the game. LeBron dapped him up and said something, which reminds you of the last time that happened. Cooper was 16 years old and the number 2 ranked prospect behind Cameron Boozer. LeBron was coaching his son Bryce's AAU team, so he caught Coop's game too. He played great and met LeBron for the first time after. But back then, nobody knew if he was actually for real. Like I said, Cameron Boozer was ranked number 1. In fact, these are the top 3 high school recruits from 2012 to 2021, and the only guys who really lived up to the hype. I guess Brandon Ingram and Michael Porter Jr., definitely Anthony Edwards, and it looks like Evan Mobley, Chet, and Paolo Banchero. But Coop was 16 years old. That whole list were seniors in high school. Anything can happen. But while Cooper Flagg was dominating, I was dealing with a hurricane in Houston that dominated my backyard. Look at this. Now, the first thing that I did was get my kids to a safe place. The second thing was to grab our food from MyFitFoods. They are the sponsor of today's video, and they were a huge help to families around Houston, including mine. The owner, Mario, gave out care packages to people who were hit hard, and I have loved their food any time of the year. They make delicious meals daily, vacuum sealed and chilled, never frozen, and they've got free delivery options available. So if you live in Houston, I've got a coupon code for 30% off. It is code GiveAFit30CK. But if you live in Texas or New Orleans, overnight shipping, code GiveAFit20CK for 20% off. So use my codes to help the channel and get amazing meals. But after meeting Braun, Coop dominated Boozer at the Peach Jam and jumped to number 1. Then he chose Duke over UConn for college. Now, he wanted to play at the University of Maine, but he realized a long time ago he had to leave his home state to get better. There has never been an NBA player who grew up in Maine. So he transferred to Montverde Academy, where Joel Embiid went, and became the most hyped prospect, clear number 1 pick in the 2025 draft. It's why everyone wants to tank to get him. But who will that be? I want to look at Cooper Flagg's most likely NBA team. But first, what everyone was talking about. Very few 17-year-olds can step in that gym and not be intimidated. Just look at this Team USA huddle. Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kawhi, AD, led by Dynasty coach Steve Kerr. Coop was on Team USA Select, which is put together to challenge the Olympic team before the game. Sometimes a select player will stand out, like Cade Cunningham last time, but he was already in the league for 2 years. Cooper just graduated high school. In fact, the last time a college player was invited was 2013, Marcus Smart and Doug McDermott. But Doug had played over 100 college games. Smart was freshman of the year in college. Coop has played 0 games at Duke and still dominated. But after the game, NBA players talked about one thing. Devin Booker said he wants it. Jalen Duren, he's got no fear. Trace Jackson Davis, he's got a competitive fire, not afraid of anyone. You need that as a player, and when you're already like that at 17, sky's the limit. Exactly. It's what separates a bust from an all-star, and Coop has it. I mean, we always know the number 1 pick is talented, but what about the mental? That alpha Kobe MJ thing. Don't you think teams would have loved to see Markelle Fultz or DeAndre Ayton or Ben Simmons in this situation? Oh, it turns out they don't have that dog DNA. So this is a rare, special moment for Cooper Flagg, and every NBA legend says he's got it. So who's gonna get him? Well, you need the number 1 pick because that's where Coop's gonna go. And all you have to do is miss the playoffs and you got a chance at number 1. Just look at the Hawks in this year's draft. They barely missed the playoffs but got the number 1 pick. So let's break down the non-playoff teams into tiers. Bad on purpose: the Blazers, Wizards, and Nets. And Brooklyn got so lucky Houston gave back their 2025 pick, so they're in it. Then, bad but trying: the Spurs. I mean, you can't be that bad year 2 of Wemby with CP3. The Hornets, Bulls, now that DeRozan and Caruso are gone, Pistons, and Raptors. Then the play-in teams: the Hawks, Rockets, and Jazz. I think all these teams have a chance to get Cooper Flagg, so they might even trade vets to get worse. The Jazz could flip Lauri Markkanen. The Blazers could trade Jeremy Grant. Maybe the Hawks finally deal Trae Young to the Magic. But will this even work? A lot of people say tanking makes no sense. No team has had long-term success by tanking. Look at the Pistons, 5 years in a row. Or the Kings, they missed the playoffs 16 straight years. And how did those good draft picks work out? But this year is different. Tanking makes sense with an obvious number 1 pick. But that's where predicting Cooper Flagg's NBA team gets weird. The NBA hates tanking. It was an even bigger issue back in the day. They used to give the number 1 pick to the worst team. So obviously everybody was trying to lose at the end of the season. So in 1985, they started the draft lottery and gave every non-playoff team an equal chance at number 1, which also wasn't fair. So they played with the numbers until the new system. The bottom 3 teams have an equal 14% chance at number 1. That's it. I want to show you how useless it has become to tank. The new system started in 2019, and between 2019 Zion and the Pels and 2024, teams with a 14% chance got number 1. So tanking is smart, right? Lose and you get the number 1 pick. Wait till you see what the other bottom 3 teams got. In 2019, the Knicks were one of the 3 worst teams, wanted Zion, fell to RJ Barrett. That sucks, but not like the Cavs who fell to 5 or the Suns who fell to 6. Can you imagine sucking that bad all year and having the 5th or 6th pick to show for it? Well, if you live in Detroit, yes, you can imagine that. Because for 3 straight years of misery, they've got the number 5 pick. Every year, they hope for one like Wemby or Paolo Banchero and end up with Jaden Ivey. No offense. So it is insane to predict where Flagg's gonna end up because of this new lottery system. Oh, people will say he's going to the Wizards or something, but he could just as easily be a Spur or a Bull. It comes down to luck. A good example is the OKC Thunder. They got unlucky in 2021, falling from potentially number 4 to number 6, getting Josh Giddey. Then in 2022, they had even worse odds, but got lucky and moved up to number 2, getting Chet Holmgren. We have no idea. Oh, and by the way, no matter how good Cooper Flagg is, he's not a cheat code. Whoever gets him still needs to build and make smart moves. Like the Celtics, their 2 best players came from the draft. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. They still needed huge, gigantic deals to win a title. Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and all the trades before that. But it is fun to finally have a clear number 1 pick again. Last year's draft, kinda boring, not caring who went number 1. Alex Sarr, Zachary Rijichet. But Cooper Flagg is legit, and his star could get even bigger at Duke like Zion's did. This year will be so much fun. But I cannot believe you guys are not watching this Woj Shams petty rivalry video. They went back and forth in public at each other. Shams won the battle, but it exposed how truly petty Woj can get.